back to Fandom Family Chats. I'm your host, Maureen, and we are joined with Jeanette.
Hello.
And Amanda.
Hello.
And our very special guest today is Ben Cain.
Hello.
He played Rod Wallis on Cruel Summer.
Hello, hello, hello. You guys said hello so sweet and nice. I want
This isn't our first rodeo with this.
I see.
We used to tease Amanda because she used to say hello like Mrs. Doubtfire, and it would make me laugh every time. So she's toned it down for us.
I like it. I want that to be my hello from now on.
See, Amanda, I told you.
I know, but now I can't do it. That was the natural hello.
There you go. So Ben, you were on a show that exploded pretty quickly in popularity. Was that something you guys expected when you were going into this?
As an actor for myself, I just try to go to work, and try to do the, I'm happy I have a job, definitely because we were shooting this during a pandemic. So I figured I wouldn't be doing anything during this time. And then when this job came about, I was just happy to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the reviews started coming in, I was like, oh man, it looked like work's might turn into something.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we read that it was one of Freeform's highest premieres in Freeform history. Wasn't that right, Jeanette? That's what you had read?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So when did you know you had this role?
I auditioned, was that September maybe? When did the pandemic start? In July. I was finishing up a show, and we was in March when that thing whole started. And then I guess might have been around October or September or something that I sent in a self-tape, and then they were like, okay, you got it. And then it was like, I found out on maybe a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something like that, and I had to be in a plane a couple of days later.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
you guys started filming pretty quickly after you found out you had the role.
Yeah, I don't even know if they were, I think they had already started, so it was
Okay.
just time to get right on in there. So
Were you one of the ones who had to uproot and move to Texas to film and stay there while you were filming?
No, I did not uproot. I booked my job as a local hire just because, just trying to get jobs wherever I can in the whole wide world. So I was at home. I was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then what I would do is put myself in my car. Well, I flew the first time back and forth. I flew there, but I was so stressed out about being in a plane during the pandemic.
That makes sense.
I said, I'm not flying back. I'm going to drive back. And so from that point on, every time they called me, they gave me enough time so I could drive from Los Angeles to Dallas to be able to get there in enough time to COVID test and get a day's rest and get to work.
Oh, wow.
And it happened every single time.
So when you were on set, how long were you on set to film your scenes? Because you were in every episode, weren't you?
Like every other episode. So it always fluctuates. Some days I would be in town for 3 or 4 days. And, during that time, there was an ice storm. So we were there, shut down for way longer than I thought it would be there. And then, sometimes I would drive in and shoot for 2 days and turn back around. So it was never a set amount of time. I would just come in knowing here are the days possible. And, we had shut down a couple of times for COVID. So that left us with a different set of days to be on set as well. So,
were you ever responsible for shutting down the set for COVID?
No, I was not. No, I was not.
That had to be a relief, right? You can put that on your resume now. That's an actual attribute to you on your resume, right?
That's it. The reason why I wanted to drive, I was like, I can be in charge of all of the parameters if I put myself in my car.
Yeah.
And I can stop at rest areas and shoot in and shoot out, and I had as much control as possible. So I figured, well, when I was there once, I did get a false positive, which scared the bejeebies out of me.
No.
So I tested, I was positive. They said we'll do another test on you, which will take a couple of days. And when that couple of days test came back on Monday, for the weekend, I believed that it was possible that I could have COVID. And then Monday I found out, no, Tuesday back to work.
Oh, that's a relief.
But it was
That has to be so stressful.
Yes.
To make sure that, especially you as an actor, you this is your job. You have to be able to go to work and to know that there's a constant fear that 1, you could get COVID, but 2, you could shut down an entire production for 2 weeks.
Or even worse, they would replace me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yep, that's true.
I don't know if they would have did it or not, but I was like, I don't want to lose this job. I don't want to come back like, nah, we got another Rod.
And that thought didn't even enter my mind because you're Rod Wallis. So that I didn't even think about that aspect.
Thank you. Because there was a time when I was just Cain, trying to be Rod Wallis. And they could easily put in another Rod, and I was like, no, I want this Rod to be there.
we appreciate
that. Yeah.
So your character is a football star.
Yes.
Were you into football in high school or junior high or college or whenever you went?
No. I was a big theater and band and arts sort of person. I would go to football games to meet girls, but I would never. I didn't.
Most of us did that in high school, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I tried to play in junior high, and the coach put me out there, and I tackled whoever it was, and he said, "Cain, come back on in," and that was the end of my career. And I was like, I grew up in Michigan, so there was no need for me to stand out in the freezing cold, but you put me in once in a while. No, thank you.
Can I ask, where in Michigan did you grow up?
Flint, Michigan.
Okay. I alternate between where I am now and the UP. So
it's beautiful up there. Beautiful up there.
We've been interviewing a lot of Texans from Cruel Summer. I said the UP. Yeah, she's Amanda's actually lives in Dallas.
What's up?
So you said the ice storm, and she was like, "Yep."
Crazy. I mean, the only thing got me through was the wine at Kroger.
Yes.
Oh, Kroger! I miss Kroger.
Whenever the lights came on, I was like, the lights are on at Kroger. Let me go get a bottle of wine.
It keeps you warm and it's tasty. You got bonus right there.
I think the wine at Kroger got us through a lot of us through the pandemic. So got me through it. Yeah.
So were you one who watched Cruel Summer in real time?
No.
Okay.
No, because it's hard. Honestly, it's just hard for me to even watch any of my performances really. So like I have to wait for somebody to be like, "Oh my God, I saw them." I'm like, well, how did it look? What happened? And my friends are pretty harsh. So if they don't say anything bad, then I go, okay, now I can go and check. So
you need that verification first. That makes sense.
But, you just go to work and try to do the best you can. And, you feel good when you leave set and, the director or the producers or whatever saying doing a great job. But, you never know what they're going to keep, what part stayed, what close up they took. I have no idea.
Yeah.
You just go to work, and at the same time, you're looking for the next job once that is over. So
yeah,
my mind's on.
So what you're saying is we could tell you anything about your character on the show, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, yep."
Like, no, I would be like, nah, because I read the script. Now I've read it from the beginning to end. I'd be like, nah, he didn't do that.
So were you were in every other episode ish, right? You were in a lot of them. You were in at least half of them.
Yeah, at least half. Yeah.
Did you have to do the Zoom table reads, or were you on the in-person table reads?
No, Zoom table reads.
Okay.
So they were usually filming an episode while I was at home.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you didn't have any theories, did you? Or because you had the script, you usually had the script there, so you kind of knew it was coming, or did you cultivate theories as you were reading the script?
No, I thought about when I first got the script and they was explaining to me what it was that, when I first started reading, my mind said, let's try to cultivate some sort of thing. But within the first couple of pages or so, I found out that my wife was having an affair on me. And I was like, I'm not any further than this because I'm not upset. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be aggravated to know what's going to happen to my relationship with my wife. So I was like, whatever they give me, I'm going to live in that world so I don't have to push myself afraid. Because the first time I did, I got my hand slapped.
Makes sense. There was 2 lines of yours that I really, really liked. And one was, it was when you were really asserting yourself as Rod Wallis. And one was when you're talking to Joy, who I can't stand her character. I like Andrea. I cannot stand Joy Wallis.
Love Andrea. Love Andrea.
And that's a testament to her acting skills, right? That I can't stand the character, but I like her. So, I mean, there's that.
So many people tell me the same thing. Like, how'd you end up with that bitch? What's wrong? I'm like, oh, whoa. Andrea's a nice lady. Like, she ain't for real like that. Like, no, she's really a nice lady. Oh, okay. She's just good at it. She just nails it and just good at it.
Every time.
Yeah. And
there was a scene where you looked at her and you said, we'll handle it as a family. And Joy, we will handle all of it. And I was like, yes, go Rod. And the other point was when you guys were laying on the couch. It was after Kate had been found. And she sort of insinuated you weren't her father. And you were like, baby, if you do that again, there is no recovery. Thank God Rod is in this show because someone needs to put that woman in her place.
Now, those scenes right there were like, when I read those, I was like, this is the part of Rod that's very important to stand on.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, he goes along with everything. And, you know, I've been a guy with a woman. I've never been married to a woman that had a kid, but like, I know the process of being this other man to this child, and also with the relationship and how to balance that thing. And I was glad that he got a moment to say, hold on, enough is enough, you know, and not in front of Kate, you know, not in front of Olivia, because this is between two parents and they need to have these moments to say, hey, listen, we need to get this right before we're in front of our daughter again, because it says something about how we are as a family.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So when I read those parts, I was like, this is the most important thing, that Rod can set some ground rules with her, because I mean, you think about it, as crazy as she is and how, you know, somebody can not like her at some point in time, because I'm all about relationships. At some point in time, they just met and he was like, I like this lady.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had conversations and they got to know each other and they went out on dates and they found some sort of thing that made them say, let's make this permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And so when things arise, to me, it's always smart in relationships, because it's easy to go through a relationship having a good time, going to parties. But when something bad happens, that's when you find out what kind of relationship you are. And you see, when she and I had that conversation, she didn't fight me. She was like, I understand.
Yeah.
Let's find a space for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there was one line she said that made me curious about the start of Rod and Joy's relationship, when she said, Skyland's arms are open to Rod Wallis, mine more than most.
Because she is a very forceful, you know, her character is, I could imagine the first time they met, she wasn't shy.
Yeah, I would guess not.
There's no shy in Joy Wallis. There's none.
So were you given sort of a backstory on Rod and Joy, or is that something you did you kind of cultivate, or did you just go from what they gave you in the script?
You always start from what they give you in the script first and foremost, because I don't want to, you know, I heard your interview you did with Nicole, and like ad-libbing or whatever. I don't want to ad-lib in my brain to make up something that doesn't match up with what these writers and this group of people who put this thing together want to happen, you know. So I would first foremost just go through whatever they gave me. Like, that's the Bible. That's exactly who Rod is, what Rod does. And then the intricacies start to happen when Joy and I have conversations back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, how she presents something to me, and if I respond in what they told me, that response is, oh, that's the kind of relationship we have. And I did have to, the only thing that I really not made up, but I had to really grapple with, because I have a daughter from a previous relationship that I need to wrap in with. And, you know, and culturally also, as a black man with a white lady and a black man with a black woman and these two girls, and like, how do we make all of this blended family work, which is also a hard thing, no matter how much love you have.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a difficult process. So I had to make sure that I wrap in me saying, how can I show love in all of these situations? Whether they said that about Rod or not, I wanted to put that in there for myself.
That makes sense. Now, I thought you were really, really good at conveying, and I've said this, I think people have to get tired of hearing me say this, but I love nonverbal in these shows. And I think because, again, you can't direct that. You can't stand behind the lens and say, hey, Ben, make this face when you're thinking this thought. That's all you. And I thought you were really good at and I think that's why people really responded to Rod, because you were really, really good at displaying that emotion on their faces. For instance, the scene with you and Joy and Kate, or Olivia and Andrea, when Kate comes out that Joy's having an affair. And Joy basically looks at you after she hits Olivia and says, it's my daughter, I'll do as I want. Your facial expression showed so much conflict in what you had, between what you had to allow and what you wanted to do to step in. And it was so relatable in that moment, how you expressed that emotion on your face as Rod Wallis, that you just wanted, your heart kind of broke for your character a little bit because of what you put into it.
Thank you. I mean, excellent writing. They put us in good positions, you know, and it was my job to, like we just talked about, how do I show love in this relationship? Like, and I'm also, as an actor, like, separate from relationships, I think actors' first job, more than anything else, before you say one word, is to be able to listen. You know, you have to be a listener. You have to be attentive to the person who's talking to you, because then you won't know how to respond properly if I'm not listening fully. And so that's, a basis to whatever I do just as an actor anyway. So I want to hear, then I'm going to let that land inside of me. And then I'm going to try to figure out what's my best way to respond in this. Ultimate answer in my listening is to sustain the relationship. So I need to hear what I need to hear so that ultimately I can figure out how to sustain this family. Rod's job was to make sure I was the most firm and foundational person in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. And you could really sense that, because I think that, I don't remember how old Kate, I don't even know if they ever said how old Kate was when she came to the house, but you could kind of sense that a lot of who Kate was from Rod Wallis over Joy Wallis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never thought about it like that. I can see what you're saying. Yeah, I've been there. I think 10 years is what I said. So I must have got there.
10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Joy Wallis is kind of vapid, and Rod Wallis is more likable.
Yeah.
And you want to like Kate.
Yeah, and there's something. I mean, if you're on Kate's side, you like her because she's just like hilarious.
Yeah, she is. Yes.
Like if she's your friend, you're like, that's just my friend. You know what I'm saying? But if she's not your friend, you're like, she gets on my nerves.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah,
it's true. Most people, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some people might not like some of my friends. Like, your friend act like that. Well, that's my friend. I love them. They cool with me.
Right.
I have family like that, so.
There it is. So you know exactly what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yes. Was there something of yourself that you put into the character of Rod? Is that something that you can avoid doing, or does that just come naturally that you have to be put into the character, or do you kind of in your I don't know the word I'm trying to go with here, but in your process, that's the word. Do you completely compartmentalize yourself off of your character? Do you allow some of yourself to bleed in there?
I'm gonna have to. I have to use myself at some point. I mean, you have to. I mean, I want that to be the basis. There's every actor has a toolbox full of all type of things they can do. So after I read the script, I find out which parts are me, which parts are genuinely just associated with me. Like I don't mind being the rock in the family. I don't mind, being forgiving someone. I don't mind, being the person of reason. Like that's been Cain, who I am in my family. So I could take that, you know what I'm saying? Would I necessarily respond exactly the way he did when I found out she was cheating? I don't know if that was,
I don't know that I would have responded that calmly.
Exactly. Like Ben Cain would have been like, what? We got, this episode don't end on that. We're going to talk some more. But so I think you have to start with yourself, and then you push yourself because I don't want it to be just me, because they wrote Rod. So where Rod and Ben connect, we let those connections happen. And then where Rod and Ben don't match up, I have to find the bridge that says, here's to make this Rod believable, because I don't want it to be fake.
Yeah.
And I want it to be something that's inside of me, because would I necessarily make his choice? But I have within me to make that choice. And what would I have to go through to make that choice in my own brain? So there's a fair share of Ben in there, but there's some moments when you're like, nah, no, not gonna do it.
Well, as Ben, would you have been friends with Hank Stevenson?
Yeah, I enjoyed Hank.
Did you?
I enjoyed Hank.
He was sketchy to me. There was something off about him. I don't know what it was, and I thought for sure he was gonna be one of the bad guys by the end, but they didn't say anything.
Yeah, he does have a thing, you know what I'm saying? He does. Like, I can see what you're saying. But like, he was really like a friend of mine. Like he liked me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he had a genuine sort of feel, so I don't think he would ever done anything shaky to me. Again, that's another thing. Like, he could be my friend, but I don't know if he wasn't my friend.
There you go. That's perfect.
I would have felt like you, like,
look at how easily that blended into this conversation.
Yeah, look at that. But it's always the yin and yang with people. Like, I can like you, but it's something like, and it's probably the same thing for me. Somebody like, I like Rod, but like, because I said to somebody like, why didn't he step up sooner? Why didn't he say something? Like, I mean, they wrote me that I couldn't say nothing yet. But literally, I understand it. Like, I could have said earlier and it's like, wait a minute, stop talking to your daughter like that. Stop. Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah. And I think the way your character was written too, you went from being, I wouldn't call Rod a pushover with Kate,
Right.
but someone who is more willing to step aside to, by the end, you're like, absolutely not. No one will ever walk over my daughter that way again.
Yes.
And
yes.
you took full-fledged ownership of Kate by the end. And I thought that was a really nice arc for Rod's character, for your character of Rod.
Well, for sure.
It was really complete. And I think I don't think you can have a show where the actor is just one note.
For sure.
You have to see that arc. You have to see that growth. You have to see it go from one thing to another in order to want more.
Yeah. And when something happens, and when we found out, that she was gone, that next day it was like, my behavior has brought this to, if I would have stepped up that day, like, here's the point when you need to start changing.
Yeah.
Like, it was written there. Like, today you can't be the same anymore. And I think that's the case for anybody. If you want to learn from your life and experiences, when you go through something and that moment happens in a relationship, that's when you figure out, what am I going to do? How do I make this thing change in the right direction? What do I need to offer that's going to bring me the change that's needed to continue forward, so we don't repeat this ever again?
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, because there's another scene where the emotions from you were really written all over your face when Kate had come home and you had brought her your food, and she was like, what's with all the food you're bringing me?
Right.
And you could see the struggle on your face of all the self blame that your character had, of all the pain you had from not only knowing your daughter come through that, but seeing who she was as she came out of it. And I think that you did a really good job portraying that on your face, but also in shoving food down her throat constantly. Like, just here, eat something, do something.
Yeah. Because first of all, it's ownership of where I dropped the ball. And then, because while you were gone, I was so upset that I couldn't just feed my child,
Yeah.
The very basic thing of, like, taking some food to your baby was taken away from you. Like, I'm going to feed you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to give you anything I can because I got you back.
Yeah. That's a layer I didn't really put together before. I probably should have, since I'm a mom, but I didn't put that together.
Yeah, it's important. When you go through something, you put your whole life on a microscope on it. And, like, what am I doing? Why did I do this? This really causes this? Oh no. If I ever get a chance to hug my child again, I'm hugging them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything in the script that you kind of thought maybe that wouldn't be how Ben would react to something? As you got along in the script, seeing who he was in the beginning to who he was towards the end, was there anything in that you're like, I don't know about this?
I probably would have worked a little bit harder to, which the story wasn't about that, to make the relationship between the two daughters better. I probably would have said, Ashley, stop, or let's all sit down and have a conversation.
I'd agree with that. That seems more like his character.
I would have had to come in and make some adjustments in that. I think probably towards the end, I probably would have spoke up a little bit more, just, court-wise, and, because at some point in time, he goes back to kind of like not talking as much, but still being behind the scenes, making sure everything is good, but putting my word in a little more frequently. But there was a lot of other things going on that I knew my character needed to be like, when it's time for me to jump, I'm going to jump.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Ben probably would have been a little bit more vocal, but I also realized, like, sometimes it's time to shut up. And be very mindful of what comes out of my mouth next, because it can cause a problem if I don't respond properly.
Absolutely. Now, as you're reading the script, I'm so relieved that we can finally talk about the finale, because we had to preface it with everyone before of, we won't ask, don't worry, we're not going to ask, but now I'm going to ask you. Were you surprised by that ending?
Yes.
You were. What was your reaction when you read that script?
I just set it down and was like, are you kidding me? Because I did not know until, they gave us that last script. And it was two things. I wasn't even sure, like, what my role would be, was I going to be in the script, because you don't get them all at one time. So as they're writing them, I'm like, I don't know how much I'm going to do and not do, what's going to be seen. So the artist in me is like, am I going to say something? What's going to happen? How many shots am I going to get? Thinking, on my own thing. So the first time I just read it through for Rod. And then I read it through for, like, what is this story happening? And when that was over, I just was like, Are you kidding me? Like, I didn't even see it. Like I read it. I've read it over and over again, one step at a time, and I didn't even see it when it came through. So they got me. They got me. Next day when I went to work, I was like, "Did you guys read that? That's crazy." But I love it, and I'm like, "That's awesome. Let's go."
Yeah, it was great.
Do you think Jeanette hurt your baby girl? Do you think she left her in there for months, or do you think she tipped up the cops after she left that house?
I think she hurt my baby girl.
Did you?
Yeah, but just I think she was all wrong. You know what I'm saying? She was all wrong.
No, we're all trying to find a way to excuse Jeanette's behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a hard time. You know what I'm saying? My job is to protect my girl. You know what I'm saying? My job is to protect my baby. You know what I'm saying? And if you knew for 1 second and didn't say something, every second after that is just like, I don't know what to tell you.
It's true. I mean, I guess if it was my daughter who was trapped in a basement and another girl tipped off the cops, I still wouldn't be very appreciative because you didn't let her out of the basement.
Right.
Yeah, what are you doing? What were you thinking?
That makes sense. See, I didn't put it in that perspective before. I was just trying to find a way that she was quasi-innocent.
But I and what her rationale is and what her mind is, that's something for that actress, hardly to have to wrap her mind around. Like, what do you want? What do you need to do?
Yeah.
How do you feel? Like, what does this really mean to you? Like, what does that say about you as a person?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to have to sit with that, you asking me about what Rod would do and wouldn't do. Like, what would she do? Like, what would you do for real?
How do you ask a sane person, how a crazy person, how they really get in there?
Yeah, like, what crazy road did you have to go down that was like cool to be like, nah, I'm not gonna say nothing.
And then smirk like that as you walked away from the door.
Yeah, like, what was going on that day? What did she do to you?
That smirk was pretty damning, I'll admit.
Oh, for sure. But, I mean, and I'm sure there's a rationale, which I don't agree with, no matter what it that helps it make sense. But no, come on, you did my girl wrong.
So going into season 2, what do you hope to see in season 2?
Oh man, this is, a couple of people have asked me about this, and so again, I don't know what I want from them to do. I mean, I just think they're so smart.
Mm-hmm.
What they're writing, they could take this story in so many different directions. They have a map that's set up to go down so many different avenues. I can hope that Rod is in some of the avenues. That's the only thing I can hope, that he's part of the Skyland family if they stay with the Skyland ideology. That's the main thing. I just want to be a part of it, but also I think there's so many different things that you could tap into with relationships and how what is that, Stockholm syndrome or whatever, with her being there, like, the grooming is so many different ways. This is a great problem for them to have, but they can do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
And we're all sort of sitting here waiting. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? Because I want to know.
Yes.
Like, what I can tell you is that I'll tune in regardless of whether I'm there or not, because it makes sense to just want to know more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I've been saying this since, I think, midway through the show. I want to see more about the adults from this season, because first of all, I really want to know how much of Wide Arms Joy opened to Rod. Like, how that started.
Okay.
That sounded dirty, but I didn't really mean it dirty.
But I'm sure there's some dirt along with it. I'm sure there's some dirty behaviors.
Probably.
She did have a side piece, so
It's true. Joy Wallis doesn't have moral scruples. So I'd like to see how that happened, but I also would like to see more of how the adults acted during this, because obviously Kiara and Olivia are the stars in this season because it's all about them. But it'd be nice in the second season to see, like, what you and Joy were doing in this behind, like, as Kate was gone, how you guys were dealing with that problem. Yeah. What made you decide to get the new wallpaper? What made you decide to start doing the cooking? It'd be nice to see it from that angle. Not that we want to see the parents suffer, but I think that's such a human thing to see how the adults are dealing with and handling this situation with this very big, very emotional, very traumatic event.
Oh yeah. Like how you just want to know how did you guys continue life?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the question Olivia was asking. They have, you guys got new wallpaper while I was gone. Like, how does that even happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in my life right now, I'm talking a lot about perspective. And she could never probably see the perspective of us sitting at home crying for how many weeks before your eyes say you got to do something. You can't sit here and cry.
Mm-hmm.
You got to eat lunch. You got to go to the bathroom. There's a series of things that you have to do that slowly but surely make you feel like this might be the new life.
Yeah.
Even if I hate it, this might be how I have to continue to make it forward until she comes back and she's like, how are you guys living? We had to keep living. I don't know. What's the answer? There's no answer to give her that she's going to be like, oh, that makes sense why the wallpaper needed to be changed.
Yeah.
What you're baking cakes now, Dad? Oh, tell me how that happened. There's no real answer.
Yeah.
I need something to do instead of sitting here crying my eyes out.
Exactly. Even that one scene where she saw you when you guys were laughing, in the next moment, the emotions had to rapidly switch because it's an overwhelming thing and you can't live there always without wanting to die, basically, I would assume, especially as a parent.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, when you come to find out that you started going there on your own, like you were there for some time.
Yeah.
So, you got to accept me being mad at you now because, you were just there kicking it on a date for a few months.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you were okay with me worrying. So you can't, only so much time can you be mad at me before I can say, you was in bed with your teacher.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other aspect I would like to see is the fallout from that. Because you didn't look really very happy when you found out she went there on her own.
Yeah, like what the hell?
So I'd like to see that fallout happen.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that Rod would have some things to say to his baby girl about that situation.
Oh man, I'm taking back all my cakes. I'm taking back all the pies. Give it back.
She can baby bird it to you or mama bird it to you. It's fine.
Yeah, something. Yeah. No, it's so many, what do you do in that situation? And so it would also come back to be like, well, this happened because we had a deficiency in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That she needed this to be okay.
Yeah.
And something that we need to work on, Joy. So I could probably be mad for a little while, but eventually I'd be like, we were bad mommy and daddy. No child should decide that going to the neighbor's house and sleeping with him is the way to solve life's problems. We dropped the ball.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Rob would probably be quicker than Joy to take that responsibility on himself.
Oh yeah.
To be really devastated by it. And the other thing I would like to see is, knowing the character of Rod, you have to know that he didn't just sit idly by twiddling his thumbs waiting for word on his daughter. He was doing something to get his daughter to be found. Not only is your character the wealthiest in town and the most well-known in town, you have some strings you can pull. Yeah. And so you have to imagine that Rod is working behind the scenes, and that's in itself has got to be an exhaustive aspect of your character.
Oh, for sure. And while I'm expending energy on my own thing, I'm still need to corral Joy.
Yep.
From doing whatever she just feels like, well, I want to do this today. I'm like, nah, slow down. So I'm sure they had a whole bunch they were going on, a whole bunch of different options, and I'm sure he spent a lot of money. Well, let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Do you think that a number of millions was worth paying her because of like what? How did you guys come up with this many millions? What was she going to be when she grew up?
Rocket scientist.
Yeah, the prime minister.
Surgeon.
Yeah, what was she going to do? Like, that's how much money she was going to amass from what?
That was my first reaction when because we did a little live chat, and my first reaction was, holy crap, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And then I was like, I have that much money to kind of like give away? Like, what's up with that?
Rod Wallis is very prestigious.
Man, oh man. But yeah, it was crazy. Crazy.
Yes, they deserved a little something.
A little.
Probably not $11 million.
No.
I'm with you on that. I'm on your side on that one.
I'll give you a couple so you can just go away, but 11? You want to break me down for everything?
That look that Rod gave Greg Turner in the bar. That could be worth at least a couple thousand.
Yeah, that was that moment that we really got to be. Well, I had one other scene with him, but Michael is just Landy's is just incredible. Am I still there? Or am I out?
Yep, you're there.
Yeah.
You're
So
there.
being in a scene with him in Brooklyn was like really, really like special to be able to have it because most of my stuff is just with either Olivia or Andrea. So it was good to be in a scene with him. And then we had to just figure out how to, as men, both going through a hard situation, have a moment.
Yeah.
You know, him and his relationship with his wife is in whatever state it's in. You know, my relationship and what state it's in is all over the place. I'm missing my daughter. His daughter is a pariah. And here we are. I just need change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we run into each other. He's dealing with his relationship and life. And I just need 4 quarters.
Yeah. Really, that's all it is. You just want to get your quarters and get out.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? But at this present moment in time, all of our lives crash in this bar at this section. It was like, all we could do is just lock eyes and be like, I don't even know what I want to do to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, when we first watched that, one thing I had said is, Greg didn't deserve that look, but I was also fully team Jeanette.
There it is.
There's no way Jeanette is guilty in any way, shape, or form. She's totally innocent.
Right.
And then you slapped me in the face with that one.
I had to. I still had to protect my babies. You know what I'm saying? I got to protect the family at all costs.
Did you have something,
So
Jeanette?
you mentioned like most of your scenes were with Olivia or Andrea. Did you have like a certain or scene that was your favorite to film or anything like that?
I think the Happy Birthday Kate episode,
Mm-hmm.
that whole episode in itself was like a joy to me.
Yeah.
I was just super, super excited when I read it and I realized, you know, what was going to happen in our household. I was super happy. And one of the scenes that was given to us, I mean, a few hours or so before we even had to shoot it was the scene at the Christmas tree.
Oh.
Yeah, because they were like, "Oh, did you guys get this scene?" We're like, "What scene? What are you talking about?" And like we were starting lunch, and they gave us 2 sheets of paper and was like, "We're going to shoot this when we come back." And to have that moment of us knowing that she was outside looking in, and then we were trying to piece it together, but then the memories start happening. It was like the balance of both of those worlds being shaken at the same time. Like again, all of the worlds was colliding around a moment while we're putting bulbs on a Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
The simplest act turns into like the most dramatic situation when all of these worlds come combining at one time, and we didn't even realize that world was outside.
Yeah.
So I mean, that scene by itself was like one of my favorites to even shoot. Because I was just like, this is life, and this hurts.
Yeah.
We were laughing, you know what I'm saying? We had a moment that she saw us in the one moment that we had of sheer joy, but we were talking about her, but she couldn't see it. She couldn't hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was one of my favorites.
And then you know that's going to come back into your character, that you're going to have to input into your character later when you find out that she did see that.
Yeah.
To know, I mean, the amount of guilt that you're going to have to put into your character when you think, if I just turned my head just a little bit in that direction, it would all be over.
Just look out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Just to not cry for 1 second and just, but see, the thing is that I probably spent a month looking out that window hoping that
That's
she
true.
would.
Yeah, because your character said something like, I keep thinking she's just going to walk through the door on Christmas morning. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, so I've been waiting. I was thinking, you know what I'm saying? I was hoping it could just happen. And I probably got up that morning being like, let me see if there's even footprints, you know, with somebody at the door. What could have happened?
That's a sad thing to think about. I didn't think about that before, but that's sad. Yeah.
I had to think about that. Like, he's really like, hopefully today is the day. And she was this far. She was 15 feet away from us on Christmas Day. And we didn't know.
Man, I don't know if you're a parent or not, but as a parent, that thought hits me very, very deep. And it makes me feel very emotional thinking just the pain that Rod had to have been feeling. And that even as much as I don't like Joy, she's got some human emotion. So she's had to feel some level of sadness about that.
Sure. And that was probably her and I's most, except for on the couch, you know what I'm saying? It was just us without no boxing gloves, no worrying about anything, no trying to posture anything. We just had a real honest moment putting the bulb on the tree. It was just like for a second, I'm having a glass of wine and we were reminiscing. And to me, when you reminisce sometimes, it helps you remember why you even started the relationship in the first place.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to go back and remember, this is why we even are together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of all of this craziness, our foundation is that of something simple of us just had a good time one Christmas.
Mm-hmm. That's a sign of good writing too, that it's so multi-layered that this horrifying traumatic event is what restored you and your wife
Right.
to something where they were.
Yeah. Yeah, because something in our life was, I mean, I'm a firm believer. I don't think women, and this is just my own personal, this don't have anything to do with, Cruel Summer. I don't think women cheat just to cheat. There's something that's wrong. You guys are usually much more loyal than a guy is, unfortunately, for whatever reasons. Like I'm not saying all guys are that way, but I'm saying to me in general, that if a woman is stepping out on her man, somebody she loves, there's something really that he's not doing that's really wrong. That she probably has tried to talk to him about, and he didn't hear it.
Yeah.
So I thought about that too. I'm like, joy for her to be in this space with this guy, with the gardener. You know what I'm saying? She's with our gardener. So something between our relationship, I'm not paying attention to even say, are you okay? Like, what's going on with you? So, and for us to be able to get all of that stuff cleared out, we had to have some sort of conversation that says, here's what was missing. Here's what I didn't do. Here's what, maybe I've been running the streets too much. Maybe I'm, Mr. Skyland too much, and I need to be at home just saying, how are you, baby?
That makes sense.
So we know, like, the show jumps around from year to year. How difficult was it to get into the character and the mindset that you needed to be when you changed from, like 93 to shoot a scene in 95? Or
the first thing that was really that helped me out is, of course, we changed clothes, and those style of clothes always said, oh, this fits differently, just the way, what am I wearing? Why am I wearing this? Why is he in this style of clothes at this particular moment in time? So that, first of all, helped me. The costume department really did a great job at doing that. And then I would always think about the relationship, where she and I could have possibly been in each year based on what was going on. So you put your outfit on, you feel that way, read what's going on, like, oh, here's where we are in life. Based on this time, this is where our relationship is at this time. So I can live in that moment until something happens where it goes, oh, this makes it a little awkward now. But the clothes was the most important. The first thing for me to put those clothes on and then to read exactly where our relationship was helped me every single time. And I had the added benefit of seeing on my script, it's 1990, it's 1990 this.
That's true.
So I would be like, oh, okay, I'm this guy right now. Or I was this guy when all of this stuff. And then there's these three separate little moments. So you put yourself in one of those three boxes, and then what's going on in those boxes that makes you react to the heights and the lows in this box. Yeah. So that was always my thought process.
That makes sense. So when you filmed it, because we've heard from some of the other castmates that it didn't go in chronological order necessarily. So did you film, when you had a day of filming and you had those 2 days, did you film all of your 95 scenes and then all of your 93, or it was all mixed up all together all the time?
It was all mixed up all of the time. I mean, it all depends on what locations are.
Okay.
It's a whole bunch of other things that have nothing to do with us, and if they can get to a 95 and a 90, like the first scene I shot, we shot all 3 years, I believe, when we were at the luncheon, the place outside when she was cheers and everything. So we did the woman when he got hit with the balloon. We got the glasses, like all of those things were shot at one, I think a 2 or 3 day period. So we would just go change clothes, come back, and Joy would start another monologue. So it was hard for her that day because she had to ping pong where she was at. But those were one of the days where we shot 93, 94, 95, same day, same time.
So did you like carry around your script with you so you always could remind yourself what date, or were you always prepared for, okay, this is going to be a mess, so I'm just going to be ready?
You just be ready. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, we try to do as much homework as we can before we get there, because things are going to change. Time is going to, whatever time constraints have to happen. I don't know what shots they're going to do and how they're going to shoot them. So I just try to be as prepared as I possibly can. And the directors, every single director was always good at saying, I know this is confusing. Here's where we are in the story.
Yeah.
So, and so we, with that little information, would always give us like, okay, here's where I am. Let me move forward.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So you were obviously around in that time period in the 90s.
Oh, yes, I was.
And we are all 90s babies here.
Okay.
Well, born in the 80s, but we were 90s kids.
Okay.
So high school is when we were hitting the 90s. In that time frame is we were in high school, junior high. So this is something we ask all the Cruel Summer castmates. Is there something from that show? Obviously, you knew what all the stuff was because you were around in the 90s. Is there something in there you're like, oh man, I wish we still had that. We should bring that back. And also, is there something you're like, oh gosh, I hated that so much. I wish that was never a thing.
I think one thing that's both of those things at the same time was the house phone.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I had the house phone with that stupid antenna on the end of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But I also had a house phone, and I didn't have a phone in my pocket. Everything was with me. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, when I had that phone, it was the beauty of best of both worlds. Like, I hate this thing, but like, oh, I miss you so much. I miss you so much. I could just stand here, because who just stands in the kitchen now and just has a chat?
Yep. No, I don't even pick up my phone.
No, you got your headbuds on, you just keep moving. You're in the car, you everywhere. So that was probably, in that time, the 90s, I graduated college in 94. So those were all college years to me.
Ooh.
And I was just a broke college student. So I was living life, enjoying any and everything I possibly could. So I was
those ramen noodle days for you?
Oh yeah, it was everything, anything I could get. Whatever it was, whoever could feed me. You cooking, I'll be there. I would go to my grandmother's house. Grandma, I'm hungry. I'll be out some coming by. I'm drive an hour to go to grandma's house and get some food.
There you go.
Yeah.
I used to do the same thing. My grandma lived in the same town, but she was the only one who always had food on the table.
There it is. And listen, my parents lived 5 hours from school. So some Sunday mornings, I would get up in the morning, 5 a.m., be there for lunch, dinner with my parents around 1 or 2 o'clock, and then be back to be in class on Monday morning.
Holy cow.
But I don't know why I thought it was better to spend money on gas and just cook some food. But now that I'm older, I'm like, man, you got the money right there. Just you bought gas, didn't you, fool?
It was hanging out with them.
Yeah, it
was loving. And the thing about the phones too is that not everyone had the cordless at first. It took a while to get the cordless, so you were attached to one spot in your house. Yeah, I'm a pacer when I talk, and my parents started off with the corded phone, and I hated that thing. When they got the cordless, exactly. When they got the cordless, it was like, yes, this is amazing. But now that I have a cell phone, don't call me. You can text me. I don't want to talk on the phone.
That's so amazing. Just send a text message. I know you seen that text message. No, I didn't. It was in your pocket. Okay.
That's the beautiful thing too, is it comes up with a little preview, so you can decide. I don't know if I want to answer this or not. And then you can say, I never saw it. I'm sorry.
Didn't see it.
That's for those family members and those friends who you find annoying but love at the same time.
There it is. And I'm contemplating getting the Apple Watch. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that because I always have my watch on. So somebody's like, oh no, you got it. I know you got it.
That's some dedication to not get a watch just so you have that excuse. You can always say, I never saw it.
Nope, didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. My phone was on the table.
Jeanette has another question for you that we ask every Cruel Summer.
So we run a Facebook group for Cruel Summer as well. And we did a little series of if Cruel Summer was actually made in the 90s, who would you have play? And we went through each of the characters. So my question is, if Cruel Summer was made in the 90s, who would you have play Rod Wallis?
Now you got to go back and remember all the shows that were popular in the 90s and all the actors that were there in the 90s.
I mean, the first thing comes to my mind, I got to remember, because I remember I'm 70s, 80s, 90s was college. I'm going to go Billy D. Williams right out the gate.
Ooh,
Mr. Lando,
that's a good one.
That's my first. I want Lando. That was the guy. That was the smoothest guy.
Mm-hmm. That could work.
That's a good one.
Off the rip, you know what I'm saying? But then in the 90s, Denzel was pretty big in the 90s during that time too. So
honestly, Denzel is who I chose to put up with the thing to ask everyone. So
You guys had the
Denzel
same
was
sort of
my
look,
choice
too.
as well. Mhm.
Yeah. It would have been no strong guys like that. But I probably would. I mean, I love Denzel. I'm not gonna say, but I like Billy D. Is just he just cool.
I like that one.
I
Yeah.
want to keep the coolness of Rod in there. It will make me happy.
Yeah, I like that one.
And it's Lando Calrissian, so you got to have a little Star Wars.
How could you go wrong with that?
There it
Exactly.
is.
Instead of being a football quarterback, he could have all the aspects of Lando. That
There
made
it
it cool.
That's it. You got a great spaceship.
Who would you want Rod to be married to? It was a 90s actress.
Oh man. What shows? Let me think. What
We
shows?
just wanted you to come on so we could make you think the whole time you're on.
Yeah. You have taken me back to all of college. I didn't watch a lot of TV because I was in class all the damn time. I feel like I'm going to say one of my acting teachers. You were like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I thought she was cute." Who was on TV during that time? Who would it be?
Jeanette chose. You chose. Who did you choose for Joy? Jeanette.
I chose it's awful. I can't remember the actress's name, but she was the woman that played Kelly's mom on 90210.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I thought she had the same vibe as Joy.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what? Now that you're saying it, was Pamela Anderson Lee? Was that 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was Baywatch.
Baywatch, because I mean, and one of the directors for this show, I think Laura, she worked on one of my favorite stupid movies. What's that one? Barbed Wire.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. I don't just like a hidden gem of something that I love that I probably shouldn't love, but I find something enjoyable about it. So I'm probably
that movie.
Pam Anderson. Maybe I can go Pam Anderson Lee on this one, just for the fun of
think
it.
that would work.
Fun. So we got Lando and Barbed Wire doing the scene.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think we should just write a spec script for that, and then just like do one of those movies that kids make at home.
Oh man. This is a crazy thing. She's coming out of the water. He's landing the plane. Like, what's up? Where's the door? I love it.
We're gonna totally change their professions, and it's gonna be amazing.
We're in the writer's room right now, guys. So let's keep it together.
This happens on everyone that we do. We always try to give suggestions as if we know what we're doing.
Right.
With writing scripts and writing shows. I mean, I call myself a writer, but those are blogs and those are cookbooks. I don't really know that I've ever written something of this scale, so I don't know that I really have a leg to stand on, but it's good.
You got lots of information right now. You got lots of information to sit through.
There you go. The other question we always like to ask every one of our guests is, do you have a show that you would like to be acting on, or a show that you would be like, oh man, I'd love to get a role in that show, or maybe even a show that you're really into watching right now?
If Ozarks wasn't canceled, I would want to be on Ozarks. I love that show. I love Jason Bateman.
Mm-hmm. I love Jason Bateman.
What other show? What other show is out right now? I mean, first of all, anything that's on Hulu or Freeform, put me in all of those shows.
They have good stuff that comes out.
They really do.
Yeah. I think Ozark is right off the back, or the just because I like James Spader. The what's the show that he has on when he
Blacklist?
Blacklist. Yeah. I enjoy Blacklist. And what other show? I watch a lot of Chicago PD.
Mm-hmm. I can see you in that for sure.
I'd like to do a scene with Hank Voight. I'd like to be in a scene with Hank Voight.
That's nice. Yeah. You know, James Spader has a special space in my heart because I mean he was an a-hole in almost all the movies he played in, but he was in all my favorite movies growing up. So
that's your favorite a-hole. That's it.
Exactly. That's what I'm gonna call him from now on. My favorite a-hole. I don't need a favorite actor. I just need one of those. It's fine.
Yeah. I have a guy that I really, really love. God bless the dead, but he was like really one of the most. If I didn't know him, I would think he's probably one of the most horrible people that I know. Like he's just my favorite horrible person. Like he just is. But he's horrible. Like if I tell the stories, you'd be like, that guy's really a piece of. I'm like, I know.
Now I almost really want him to be called up by name. Like, who is this guy?
I can't do it, but I love him. But he's gone. He's dead and gone. So God bless his soul.
Okay. So the very last question we have for you is, do you have any projects that you're working on that are, or maybe that are completed, that are coming out that we can put out there to our listeners, that we can kind of promote, that we can watch ourselves?
Oh, for sure. I'm on another show right now on Amazon called Panic.
Ooh.
and I play the father to one of the leads on that show. I'm in a dad sort of zone right now. So yeah, Panic is a really good show that's on Amazon.
What is that about?
It's about these kids in this town. I think it's based on this one young lady who really wants to get enough money to get out of town. It's a little small town and she wants to get out of there. And every year, this town has this game called Panic that all of the kids in town play. And the townspeople kind of want to stop it because people have lost their lives. They've hurt themselves really bad because it's these challenges that they win money. Like if you win the pot, if you make it through all of the panic challenges, you win this pot of money that could probably help change your life.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's a pretty intense show.
That sounds interesting. Like it's not something you've really seen before.
Yeah, same sort of demographic that you would for Cruel Summer, but like a whole different flow. But it's really, I was working on that show first before I even got to Cruel Summer, but really, really good show. Really good show. Amazon.
Check that
out. And just an episode of mine in Bosch just came out. When Bosch, the new season just came out, I'm in episode 2. Check that out. And I'm currently filming on a show called Long Slow Exhale. That's that I've been shooting in Atlanta, in and out of Atlanta. So I'm not sure when that comes out, but those are the things that are happening right now.
For the Atlanta one, do you have to travel like and stay there, or is that another one where you go back and forth?
But I'm flying now. I got shots. So I'm flying. I don't feel nervous about getting on a plane, so I just fly. That 33 hours is crazy. Like the first day I shot on Long Slow Exhale, it was like we finished shooting on Cruel Summer. And I had 3 or 4 days before I had to start on Long Slow Exhale. So I was already in Dallas. And I was like, I'm just going to drive the rest of the way to Atlanta because it was another 10, 12 hours. So I got there. And the night before we were supposed to shoot, a tornado or something came through, knocked out some lights and messed up water everywhere. And then I couldn't shoot. No. Turn around and drive 33 plus hours back to Los Angeles.
Oh no.
It's crazy.
That's coast to coast.
Oh yeah, it was coast to coast. It was a long drive. And I had to beat the storm because the storm came through one time and they were like, we've got and the people from production called and it's like, listen, we're not going to shoot the scene. We're going to reschedule it. So we'll just get back in touch with you. And I was like, okay. And I was like, probably need to get out of town then. When do I need to leave? And then the weather report was like, the storm is gone and it'll be back in 12 hours and I was like, I'm packing my stuff up. As soon as they told me I was gone, I was out of there. And I caught about 2 hours of that storm and it was the worst driving storm I've ever
man.
It was crazy.
That sounds horrible.
But I made it.
Another thing that weirdly comes up all the time in the show is how bad I am at geography. So for me, it's really hard to figure out what that drive is like for you for a minute. I just remember Georgia's on the coast and California's on the coast, and that's all I got for you.
The whole United States, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? I think there's maybe one. I don't, because they're not all the way on the coast, because that's Georgia and maybe something.
South Carolina, I think.
South Carolina. I was about to say the Carolinas are there. So I was almost there, but it still was 33 hours.
Yeah. How far is it from LA to Dallas?
It's like a 24-hour drive.
Holy crap.
Yeah. But I listened to a lot of books.
Didn't realize that either.
Lots of books on tape, lots of silent.
See, now if you started driving again, now you have a podcast.
Oh, there it is.
You can listen to, see?
There it is. And I did a lot of that too. So now I got a new one. I don't have to drive anymore, but when I'm driving in LA traffic, you need a podcast for that as well.
Yeah. I hear that takes hours.
Sometimes.
To go someplace.
I want to pop you guys in and be like, what's up, ladies? Say hi for me one time. Hi.
There you go. We're going to say it exactly like that too. We're going to try to go all high pitch and go, hi.
Yep. I'll be sorry. But there's the ladies. I love this.
Well, we are hoping that we are going to see much more of you on Cruel Summer season 2.
Thank you.
Hopefully season 3. And if that happens, we would like to get you back on here. We're probably going to find a reason to have you back on anyway, even if you're not on Cruel Summer.
With you ladies. This was a good time and anytime.
We had a lot of fun too. We really enjoyed talking with you. I like people who like to laugh. So it was very enjoyable. And we appreciate you coming on.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you, ladies.
I'm just going to close us out real quick and then we'll let you go on your day.
Okay.
So thank you guys so much. And thank you, Ben Cain, for coming on and talking with us and having a good chat about Cruel Summer and his other acting pursuits. And we want you to know that you can continue to watch for updates on Cruel Summer on our Facebook group, which is Cruel Summer Turner Family Fan Club. Join that if you're not already a part of it. You can find us on social media under Instagram or Twitter under a variation of Family Fan Clubs. And our email is familyfanclub2021@gmail.com. If you have any questions about what Ben's going through, if you have any questions about things he said tonight, shows he's going to be on, give us an email. We'll let you know the shows that he's on and things that are coming out. And if you ever want to be a part of our podcast, if you want to submit questions for the people we have coming on, give us a shout out and we'll respond to you and we'll get it going for you. So we will see you next week. And again, I don't remember what we're talking about next week. So you'll have to tune in to figure that out. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.